things. I was changing I have a white Jeep, and I was changing this leak from the top of the tank. I replaced the hose. And what happened was on one of the sides, the tank slipped down and it pulled my little wire connections apart. But it didn't break nothing. I hooked everything back up, put the tank back on. When I went to start my Jeep, it wouldn't start. So I came back, pulled the tank back out, and then I said, well, let me check everything on the fuel pump. And I took it off of it. I dried it up completely, and I went out there and I wired it where I could run it from the battery, and it came on. And then I sort of put fuel, and I ran it again, and it did pump, so now I knew that was working. And then now I put it back in the fuel tank, and I hooked it up, and then instead of I checked also to see if the positive was coming under my wire that hooks up to the tank, and I'm getting no power there. So I ran a couple cables from the battery all the way back, and I ran it directly, pumping gas into the car, and my car starts now.
Okay.
And then I take it off. I went back, try to hook it up to the car, and then before that, I checked the power again. I was getting no power. So I took off the relay, and I bypassed it. And I came back to the back. I ran like a little jumper, and I have power in the back now. So I hook up my tank back into that, and I try to start the car up. My tank, it's showing that it's on, but it won't pump fuel. If I do it the other way with the regular for the battery, it starts pumping in.
So
that's what I'm having.
So it sounds like there's no power to the pump. Is that right?
If I hook it up with a positive and negative to the battery, it pumps good, and it's got a good pressure, and it sends fuel to the front. Now, if I bypass it by two little wires, I bend the wires and put from the big one to the big one and the positive on the relay, my pump comes on the same, but it's not throwing the fuel to the front.
Okay. Well, the first thing I would recommend that you do is make sure it's got battery voltage on the dark green wire with a black stripe.
Okay, the blue one?
Well, no, the blue one is for your instrument cluster. That's for your gauge. So don't worry about that one.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen them both little tiny wires. You have a black one and you have a blue one. I checked those out now. We're talking about the one. Now, you have three wires. You have a black one, I have an orange one, and then I have like a pink color. Three of those.
There should be a dark green wire with a black stripe.
Okay. I don't see that one.
Well, that would make sense as to why your fuel pump's not coming on. That one comes from the fuel pump relay, and that one goes over from your relay over to your fuel pump.
Okay, because I have.
How many wires do you have going to the fuel pump assembly?
Okay, from the wires I have coming in, there's three little prongs in the other one, and then on the one that I'm hooking up to from the gas tank, it has three prongs.
Okay, so what color is on pin number 1?
Okay, let me go. Hold on. Let me see. Let me check the diagram at the bottom of the car on the ones that's coming in. Okay. Bear with me 1 second here. Okay. Now, I have there's a green one with a black line.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. That one. No, that one. Go back to that one. That's the one that needs to have battery voltage while cranking.
Okay.
So if you were to take a test light or a voltmeter, all right, you're going to measure voltage on that circuit. You could do this with it plugged in or unplugged. I would recommend that you leave it plugged in, and what you're going to do is you're going to back probe that cavity, pin number 3, with a voltmeter, have an assistant crank the engine over, and you should receive 12 volts or battery voltage when the relay clicks. If you don't, then at that point, you need to go back to the fuel pump relay in the power distribution center, excuse me, and then find out why it's not activating. Check to see if there's power going to the fuel pump relay. Check to see if there's a ground going to the fuel pump relay coming from the computer.
Boy, it gets complicated.
I'm just answering your question. I understand that it's complicated, but this is what needs to be done. Because based on what you're telling me,
Right.
it sounds like there's no power going to the fuel pump.
Now, if I hook it up and I put that jumper, I get power on back here on this wires, which is, let me see. Okay, so that's what it could be. Now, you said the green one has to have positive.
Yeah, when cranking the engine over, that is correct.
Okay. So, I see what you're saying. Now, on the plug-in, how come on the plug-in, the ones that I hook up from my the Jeep, there's 3 different colors that don't match?
When you hook up what?
Okay, on the fuel tank itself, one is orange, one is like a light color orange, and there's a black wire. There's an orange wire with a black line.
So that's from the fuel pump itself?
Yeah.
Because it's probably an aftermarket fuel pump, and it's not going to match up to the factory color wiring harness. And being at, what is this, a 94, 95, or I'm sorry, what year was this again?
94.
Yeah. Okay. So this is incredibly old. So what that tells me is there's probably gone through at least one, if not maybe multiple fuel pumps within its life so far. So the colors aren't going to match up. So don't even worry about the colors on the fuel pump on the connector. Just worry about the color. Look at the harness side that comes from the wiring harness from the vehicle that goes to the fuel pump connector plug, and then that wire, that the dark green and black wire, that's the circuit that we need to check for power. That goes to that powers up your fuel pump.
Okay, now I'm going to check that because I didn't check that. And what about if the relay? If you have to do that with it, we try to have somebody in the car try to turn it over, and then check it, like you said, check it with a little meter.
Well, yeah, because
I got power going.
That's correct. Because key on, engine off. If you just let it sit there, it's not going to have power. It only gets power for like 2 seconds when you first turn the key on. So if you go turn the key on and then you 10 minutes later grab your voltmeter, then meander your way back to the fuel pump, by that time there's going to be no power left there. So you have to check it while cranking.
Okay, I got it.
And you'll probably find that there's no power, and because the fuel pump relay is likely not activating for some reason. Either it's missing power or ground. Are you sure all the fuses are good?
Yes, I double check all the fuses from the front. The
big
ones, I checked them and they're all lined up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, checking for power, because if the pump runs when you just supply power and ground to it, well, then we know the pump's good. It's likely not getting power, or it's missing a ground. I don't know how are you supplying power and ground, or just power to it?
I'm hooking it up with a ground and positive.
Okay, so it's possible maybe you have a bad ground. So make sure that it's going to be that pin number 1, not the middle one. That's your dark blue wire that goes to your instrument cluster. The other pin, number 1, it's a black wire with an orange stripe on the harness. That one should have a good ground at all times.
Okay, how can I tell if the relays are bad?
Relays don't normally go bad unless they're exploding with corrosion. All right, now the correct way, you could either you could just swap them out for a different relay or a new relay. You could buy because they're not expensive. But the best way to check this is to check power in and out of the relay. There's 12 volts going in on 2 prongs. When the relay activates with a ground on the 4th pin, there also should be 12 volts. That's the best way to check it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try that then. I'm going to go ahead and hook it back on and then check it and see with somebody cranking it over if that blue wire comes on. If it comes on, I'll hook it back on and we'll give it a shot.
Well, remember, it's the green wire with black stripe. That's the one that needs to have battery voltage.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if it doesn't, what you could do is you could go back to the fuel pump relay, and if you don't hear a click when you turn the key on or when somebody cranks it, you could then you're going to want to check the powers or the inputs to the relay. So that, again, it needs 2 powers and 1 ground in order to activate. And then you could use a simple voltmeter, $10, $15 voltmeter that you can get at your local auto parts store, or you can get it on Amazon, and that'll help you check the inputs to the relay.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, I appreciate it.
All right, you bet. You're welcome. Good luck. Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the call. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay. Have a good day. Bye-bye.